Welcome to Get Savvy, the podcast for people who want to claim back their time through the power of delegation, productivity, and automation. This is the last in our AI Takeover Series. For now, we may come back to this, I'm sure. In this
Yes.
episode, we are talking about marketing, and it is a goodie.
First, though, let's talk about something that was announced today as we are recording this, that there is a brand new video AI that looks incredible.
Yep. We may have talked about Sora before, text to video AI prompt. So this is essentially going to rival that. It looks insane. And we will touch on this again later in the episode as well. But that is very exciting that we've got that announced today, because I don't know what OpenAI was planning with Sora on whether it was going to be paid or not, but there are some exciting updates with Luma/Dream Machine that we will mention later.
Cool.
So, big topic, marketing. Content creation is our first section of this topic. And even this section has so many different aspects to it that AI can help you with. So here I'm going to reference ChatGPT, but when I sort of mention ChatGPT now, I'm kind of referencing ChatGPT/Meta.ai/Copilot.Microsoft/Gemini.Google, I think it is. So any of the chat AI interface tool things, that is what we mean when we're talking about these chat tools now.
Yep.
There are quite a few of them.
Yeah. Okay, the first one under content creation umbrella is writing blog posts. And title, heading, suggestions, because the heading is, I believe, the most important part, because if the heading is not compelling, nobody is going to read your blog post.
Yeah, absolutely. So ChatGPT, any of the AI chats, you need to start by giving them a bit of context. I always talk about treating them like a team member. You're not going to just let someone go into a task cold, or I hope you're not dumping people in the deep end like that. But the AI as well needs a little bit of context. So it needs to know what industry you're in, ideally needs to know about your brand. So even your brand tone of voice, your ideal client would help as well. Things like that are going to help it actually have some context to what it's writing. If you can give it even an example of a previous blog post that you've written, then even better.
Yeah. So, and it doesn't have to be that you do this every single time it writes a blog post for you. So I like to have a chat that is the chat that I use over and over again for the blog post writing. And I also use a GPT. So it's kind of specialized in blog writing. And then I'm using that same one over and over so that you're doing this once. So the example, the ideal client, your brand voice, all of that. And you're like teaching it all about that so that they can create a blog post for you over and over on a different topic.
Yeah. So give it that context, and then you can use it a couple of different ways, I suppose. I like having some starting points so that I can then buff it out. I prefer to do it that way because sometimes starting is the hardest part. So give it some context about what you want to write a blog about and ask it to form an outline of this blog post for you. Come up with some bullet points, whatever it is, so that then you can take those ideas and expand on them and really make it yours. And again, you could get those initial bullet points, that outline, and then even ask ChatGPT for some more context or to elaborate as well, and then edit it further. So remember, it's all about that prompting, that reviewing, that editing, because you do still want it to really sound like you.
Do you want it to do the heavy lifting for you? So another way that I quite like using it for blog posts is so in my other business, I create a a podcast video from my other podcast, and we take that video and we get the transcription and we provide it to chat, and we say, here's the outline, or here's the episode. Can you please put this into our typical blog post format? And so then and we also ask it to only take the information from in that transcription. Don't add in new ideas that you found on the internet. Just take the information that's inside that transcription is another good tip as well, if you want it to do that, if you've already got some content. But yeah, I think it's much easier if you're not really, if writing is not really your superpower, then just throwing in your notes in really like just note casual form. I feel like chat can do a really good job of deciphering that and pulling it out, creating a blog post. I like it to write the whole blog post, not just the outline. And then I'll go through and just like change some bits where I feel like it's a bit too formal or it's not really our style or tone or anything. But yeah, there's definitely a bunch of different ways that you can use it, depending on what your superpower is, what you're really good at, how much how good you are at the prompting, and then do you have like another piece of content that you're getting it to actually write from.
Yeah. And again, you can use those custom GPTs as well. So there are multiple of these out there specifically for content writing and things like that. So there is one that I think is one of the top trending ones called Write For Me. So you could try using that out. And then there's another one, again, top ranking, called Humanizer. So specifically trained to create human-like content. So if you're initially getting out some blog posts or some content that ChatGPT has written for you and it's not quite right, it doesn't quite sound human, you could run it through Humanizer and then see if that makes it any better as well. So do some testing and figure out, there might be a custom GPT that absolutely nails it for you every time.
Yep.
So worth looking into as well.
And when we talk about the custom GPTs, we are specifically talking about the ones that are in Chat GPT. The other thing too is to really be careful of you not just allowing ChatGPT to write a blog post in its normal tone, because it will use words like unlocked, unleashed, and a whole bunch of other ones that it very commonly uses. And what you do not want is your blog post to sound and make it obvious that you have used ChatGPT to write it, because you will lose credibility of that blog post.
Absolutely. And that is the same with the title generation as well, because it loves to use those keywords over and over specifically for titles for blog posts. So if you are asking it for titles, then potentially try and give it one of your own examples to begin with, or ask it to generate quite a few examples to give back to you so you can potentially combine a couple. That's often what I do. So yeah, they can be a bit touch and go with those titles, because it is, especially trying to make them really attention grabbing for you, it's going to use all of those buzzwords, I guess.
Yeah. And so I get it to give me like 30 examples. Give me 30 examples of potential titles for this blog post. Make it attention grabbing. Sometimes I tell it to make it a bit clickbaity, which essentially is attention grabbing, and give you a whole bunch of examples. Remember, it's because it's not a real person, a real team member. It has no problem with you asking for an outrageous amount of options. So 30, 50, whatever you like. Don't be afraid to ask it for a whole bunch so that you can actually go through and pick out the best one.
Yeah. And you may as well. I mean, how long is it going to take you to come up with 30 different titles for a blog post and then pick the best one? Whereas you can generate that so quickly with AI. And then, even if you do end up combining two, that's still going to be way quicker than you brainstorming all of those yourself.
Yeah. So it's often what I do is like ChatGPT, when you're doing a title, it tends to do like an intro part of the title and then a colon and then the rest. And so sometimes mixing and matching those, actually you get a better result.
Yep, I've found that as well. And now something similar to this as well is the social media captions, and if you're sending out newsletters, content for those as well. So similar to blog posts, and again, same warnings around this. So just make sure that you're reviewing that content rather than just copying and pasting it, especially with the social media captions. It's likely that you're going to get 100,000 emojis in there as well, which can be a dead giveaway for someone that's used AI, especially the rocket emoji. It absolutely loves that one.
Which I really liked using the rocket emoji until ChatGPT would throw it in 1,000 times. And I'm like, I can no longer use the rocket emoji because it makes it look like I did not write this and ChatGPT did. But yeah, I think making sure that you give it the examples of really great captions that you've written before so that it can mimic is a really good word. Mimic the style, layout, structure, length, all of that kind of stuff. So ask it to mimic those things and give it that example. Can give you some really good results.
Yeah. Make sure that you're actually still providing value with your content. You don't just want to be generating anything that you possibly can super quickly. Actually make sure that it's worth posting.
Yeah. I think that's a really important point for all of this kind of marketing content creation. It's not about using ChatGPT to just create tons and tons of content, because you really want to focus on quality content over quantity. Just low value, tons of quantity is going to have people unfollow you for sure, or unsubscribe.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you touched on the next point earlier, Joe, with repurposing content. So, do you want to elaborate a little bit on how you use that?
The beauty of ChatGPT is that you can absolutely use it as your repurposing assistant. So if you have a podcast, use the podcast episode as your top tier level piece of content that you can then repurpose and create a whole bunch of content from. If you are really great at writing, if that's your zone of genius and you create a blog post, that can be your top level piece of content. If you really love doing video content, maybe you have a YouTube channel with video content, then that is your top tier piece of content that you can create a whole bunch of content from. So whatever it is that's your zone of genius, do that. Create that piece of content and then give that content to ChatGPT and then really teach it about what it is exactly that you want to get out of it in terms of repurposing, and use the table option. So letting chat know, hey, can you put in a table, can you take this content and create, 10 social media posts for Instagram, captions, etc. Put it into a table so that it's easier for you to digest in a table format, and you can see. You can even teach it your social media strategy and your different content pillars if you use pillars. So actually give it what you have already done in terms of that, organizing that strategy for your social media or your content strategy, and then get it to fill in that strategy with the repurposed content from your one top level piece of content that you've created.
Yeah, that's a really handy tip, especially giving it your actual strategy.
Yes.
Giving it that context again helps so much.
Yeah.
Cool. Our next one is one of my favorites. I absolutely love playing around with this, and it is the image creation side of things. Now, this can be done across all of the different platforms. I'm pretty sure the Gemini and Copilot Meta free chat versions can even do this image generation now. And ChatGPT, of course, can do it, and they have all of the custom GPTs for this specifically as well, which are, again, those ones that are specifically trained to do this. So there are quite a few in ChatGPTs. So they've got their own one called DALI, which is absolutely amazing. There are other ones as well that are just created by other random people, I think, called image generator, photorealistic GPT, cartoonize yourself. So it depends what style you're going for your images. It will depend on which one you're picking, but I think DALL-E can give you quite a range of different styles as well for whether they're sort of illustrations or photos again. So depends what you're looking for. Have a play because there are quite a few that are available now. But you just type in your prompt and then it's going to produce this fully custom image for you. So you don't have to spend hours scanning the content websites anymore. What are they called?
Stock photo websites.
Photo websites. It's been so long since I've used them. I forgot the name of them.
Yeah. I think the important thing here is the prompting, right? To get the best image out, because it's also very obvious if you've just used, say, ChatGPT and asked it to create an image. It's very obvious that it's created with ChatGPT or DALL-E, which is their one. So I think the prompting and in terms of the style of the image as well. Would you say that, Tisha? What's your tips around that?
Yeah. Most of the AI prompting, I would recommend giving it as much context as possible. So the shorter your prompt for the image generation, the more generic, I suppose, the image will be. So even another example that is one of my favorite places to go for the image generation stuff is Adobe Firefly, because we're Adobe users, or we've got the Adobe logins. So here you can really adjust all of the different settings for the image generation. So you can actually give your prompt, but then you can pick the style of the output. So it might be digital art, photorealistic, painting, illustration, whatever you want. You can go as far as uploading a reference photo for style as well. So if you have this beautiful photo that you want to replicate the style, you upload that. You can set the lighting, you can pick the camera angle, and you can even then choose the aspect ratio of the image output. So that feels like a lot and it feels really specific, but all of that is helping it produce you an image that is going to be really unique and isn't going to look just like any other image that someone else generated. So try giving it that context, even if you're using one of the Chat GPT custom GPTs as well.
I think the aspect ratio is important. So for anyone who doesn't know what that is, what's the aspect ratio, Tish?
So that's essentially the orientation and the width/height of the image that's going to come out. So if you need a square image, then that is going to be an aspect ratio of 1:1. Whereas if you need like a really long image, then you're going to need one of the landscape ratios instead. So just if you can select that as an option or ask ChatGPT to regenerate the photo with a different aspect ratio that you actually need, then ideally do that. As you crop it, it will sometimes reduce the quality of those images. So better to get it right in the first place if possible.
Now, we can't talk about image generation without talking about Canva, who now are really fully integrated in with AI. So talk us through some of the options that you can do in Canva now.
Yeah, so Canva has, I think they're called like magic generate and things like that. So Photoshop have their own ones as well, where you sort of select over the area that you want to use. In Canva, it's a little paintbrush thing. You just select over or mask over the area that you want to edit. And then on the left hand side, you just type in the prompt for what you want to change. So you could select over your top and then ask it to generate you a new shirt. You could, I think they have one actually specifically for background. So it will remove the background and then you can regenerate the background. They're constantly bringing out more features in Canva as well. So if you're a paid Canva user, absolutely go and check this out and have a play
Yeah.
around with it.
Another one that I love in there is the magic expand. So you take a photo that's maybe, aspect ratio 1:1, a square image, and then you need it to be landscape and you need it to kind of give you some blank area, maybe to put some text on top. You can actually use the magic expand and just drag it out and let it know, like, what do you want to have in that extra area, or just make more of what is currently in the background. Just like expand that out. That is a very cool feature.
Yeah. So I have a couple of tips with this. Firstly, like I said before, try really hard with your prompting, and if it doesn't nail it the first time, do try again, because if you just give up and go, oh, this is crap, then yeah, I mean, that's what you're always going to think. But if you can revisit your prompt, try and refine it, try and make it more specific, then you might get a better output. And also consider if you're trying to edit too large of an area at a time. If you're selecting over this massive, half of the image, then that's a lot of information for it to read. So try with a smaller area. Like if you need to remove a sign in the background or something like that, start smaller, start with that, see if it nails that, and then it might be able to do the overall area a bit bigger or something. Especially if there is a lot going on in the image, it's trying to read what's happening and try and make it accurate depending on what else is happening. So yeah, it might just need a little bit of help.
Because the AI can't look at the image. It's actually getting the image interpreted to it through code and text. So it can't see your image, but it has it translated into code that it can then understand. So that's why it has a little way to go sometimes in terms of understanding what you actually want. And like Tisha says, when it's trying to interpret a whole large area, all the code is very complex for that if it's too large. So that's why you might struggle to be like, why can't it just see what I want it to do? Well, it can't see yet. It's actually getting the code.
Yeah. And even stock photo websites have started to use this AI generation as a integration, I suppose, in their websites now. So some of them are free, some of them are paid, but you can go onto this actual stock photo websites and type in exactly what you want, and it's going to give you some actual stock photos that were taken by real people, and it's going to give you that option to generate with AI as well. And this likely on the free version will be only a certain amount of prompts that you can do, but everyone is jumping on board.
Cool. You do not have to be a illustrator anymore, right? You do not have to be a photographer anymore to get some really great images that you can use in your business.
No.
Okay. Definitely disrupting a whole bunch of industries, this AI, which is why we've called this the AI Takeover Series. Okay,
However, from a photography point of view, I have found this has just sped up my editing process so much. Like even what I said before, removing a sign in the background. I shot a wedding last week and there was this massive sign for the toilet that was we were in this green room and it was just absolutely massive, but I was able to position people taking photos knowing that that was going to be in the background, but knowing how easy I could remove it now. Like it was always possible with a bit of fiddling, but it's as simple as selecting over and then asking it to remove it now. Like it's seconds of work. So it also helps.
Absolutely. Yes. Also helps. Okay, let's move into video content. So at the start of the episode, we talked about the new announcement of the incredible tool Luma that is creating amazing video content and is going to rival OpenAI's Sora. And this is not going to be the end of the rivals coming on to the market. So chat to us about video content and how our listeners could use it.
Yeah, so Dream Machine / Luma at the moment is actually free for you to use. All you have to do is sign in with a Google account, so you don't have to put in any payment details or anything. Free for users to generate 10 generations, I suppose, videos a day, which is insane because other than reprompting, 10 videos from text prompts is going to be more than enough for most people.
Mm-hmm.
Paid users then have no daily limit on this tool and they have priority in the queue for generating. That's absolutely insane. That's unlimited content for the paid users and 10 videos generated for the free users. Like that's more than I thought that any of these platforms would allow for free.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that's not going to be super long videos. You're potentially capped on how many seconds or minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is just this Luma tool that has just been announced. We're actually still not sure what Sora is going to release when they release theirs. I assume they were intending on making it paid, but now they will probably be forced to make at least a free version of it as well.
Yeah, I think we'll see a lot of free versions of things with limited features or, caps on outputs. But yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of free AI content coming out. Now, as always, there are going to be issues with these tools when they first come out, right? So this is going to be no exception in Luma, but there are going to be some weird and wacky things happening in some videos sometimes.
Yeah. So I didn't actually mention this in the image section, but AI definitely still has some issues creating like hands and faces and feet and sometimes arms. There are some things that it still struggles with a little bit, and the video side of things is really, really still evolving. So it's not always going to be perfect. Again, it's going to be to do with the prompting, but it is going to still be learning. A lot of the video ones will still be in a beta phase where they are testing with the users as well. So if you go onto the Sora, SORA website and have a look at some of their preview videos, so it's not live yet, but they show you the video and they show you below what the prompt was to get that video. So there are some amazing videos that are even close-ups of people's faces, but then they are also showing some of the ones that are a bit funny still, that are not generated perfectly. So you can see the types of things that they're doing the testing with at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, how much this technology has advanced in just a few years is incredible, and it is going to get exponentially better. The film industry is going to be very worried about this. And I heard a stat, I'm not sure if we've mentioned it on the podcast before, but 80% of all content online is going to be AI generated by 2026. If not 90. I feel like maybe the fact was 90. Between 80 and 90%. Anything that's like up there is incredible and such a high percentage of content. Like we're just going to see AI generated content everywhere, all day, everywhere.
Yeah. Because, I mean, actually, we haven't included in this episode, but we've even got the tools like HeyGen, where you can create your digital twin, which is going to sound absolutely terrifying to some of you, but being able to have this digital twin that you can upload your script to and it can, say whatever you want it to say for social media content, so many people are going to opt for that so that they don't have to, get up, do their hair and makeup in the morning, and they're not really feeling like recording some content for their social media. They'll just go and use HeyGen or a tool like that to create their social media content as well.
Yeah, we'll link that down below. It's where you're recording yourself for like 2 to 3 minutes, being very expressive and saying whatever you like. And it's then creating the digital twin from that your content is going to be unrecognizable that it is AI generated and not actually you, because it looks and sounds exactly like you.
Yeah. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah. I'm about to start using that. So that is next on the list to start having a play with and get the digital twin set up.
Yes. But anyway, that was a lot on the content creation side of it because, yeah, it really is a massive wormhole. And even, I don't think we mentioned, Canva has got their own video generation AI as well now called,
yes,
it's Magic Studio or under the Magic Studio called Magic Meta, I think. And again, this is in beta, but if you're a paid Canva user, then go and try it out and create some short videos and see what it can generate for you. Our next section, though, is the keyword and market research for marketing. So with ChatGPT 4.0, you can now search the internet for that actual up-to-date data, whereas previously you could only search up to 2021. So you can actually use it now to analyze competitors and investigate current marketing trends in your industry, come up with popular keywords, whether that's for blog posts or even just your whole site-wide SEO. So there are massive capabilities here with the actual research side of it for your marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So some examples for some prompts could be, what are some popular keywords for a blog post about X product, or what are some variations to the keywords XXX, if you've already got some, so that you can capture a broader audience and making sure that you're showing up no matter what term people are searching for or is most popular. Or again, just use those results as a starting point for deeper research. So use it to do that heavy lifting again and then refine it.
Mm-hmm.
For market research, you can essentially ask it anything you want to find out more about. So give it a go. Again, do fact check it, but you could ask it what the current marketing trends are in your industry, or who the ideal target audience for your product or service is and why. Identify gaps in the market, and you can even ask it like what are pain points and unmet needs for your ideal customers, and get some ideas for your own content generation as well.
Cool.
So, like I said, fact check any of the stuff that you're doing with the market research and keywords, though beware of the AI hallucinations. If it gives you a source link, then do click on it, do go and actually check that it's not just something completely random.
Yeah. Completely made up. Yeah. And so there is a massive opportunity for you to use AI to do that heavy lifting in this marketing space for you. And these ideas are just like an absolute tiny fraction of what AI could help you with. But hopefully this has given you some ideas to think about and work out some ways that you can have ChatGPT help with your marketing. So if you haven't already started using ChatGPT or one of the other AI models, then what are you waiting for? They are now free. They can help you with so much in your marketing space within your business. And, just make sure that you are not thinking of it like a team member when you're asking for the amount of outputs that you want it to give you. Ask it to give you a whole bunch of options for you to choose from. get it to do a whole bunch of heavy lifting. But do treat it like a team member when you are thinking about the information that you give the chat so that you can get the best outputs from it. So the more specific, the more examples, the more kind of teaching you can give it about your business and what you want from it, the better.
Yeah. You can even try asking it how it can help you, and it will give you some suggestions, and then you can do those things. So
yes.
Don't bury your head in the sand. And if you would like help figuring out what is best for you in your business, then head over to strictlysavvy.co.nz and don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the Get Savvy podcast.